Welcome, welcome.
Yay.
Thank you so much for being here this morning. We have had the most amazing weekend already. We had woke up and our hot water heater wasn't working. Have you ever how many of you get up in the morning, you take a shower, and you get up in the morning, there's no hot water, and you kind of,
Yes.
I felt so sorry for the homeless people.
Me too.
It takes something just
Absolutely.
that simple for you to go, how would I feel if I was sleeping in the street and woke up and I couldn't take a shower? That's part of, being awake and being alive seems to be getting up and being able to take a shower. So I want to thank Ed for helping and Abdul from Matt's for helping. All of these people that just pitched in and helped us get our shower and all of our hot water going again. Thank you all so very much. It was divinely guided because all of you know, I've mentioned enough, I'm going to be going to the San Diego area, Oceanside, and to do my son's wedding, and it's coming this next week. So obviously we needed to have a bunch of clean clothes too to get packed and get ready to go. So that's what's happening here at 2151 Oakland Road. And we have a wonderful, wonderful guest. Our friend Laura is here. Our friend Janet Childs is Reverend Dr. Janet Childs is here. And but we want to thank you so much for joining us. And speaking of our wonderful Janet Childs, Janet, do you want me to do the meditation?
Yes.
And then you're going to do a song for us?
That would be great.
Okay.
And can we make a couple of announcements?
We can make a couple of announcements. That sounds wonderful.
So what I'd love to tell you about is, this is in the future, but Light of Lights is happening. And I think this will be our 45th one or something.
Wow.
It's something really high up there. And it will be on the 11th of December, 6 p.m. Please join us. We would love to have you. And, so put that on your calendar. And we have a special, wonderful event coming up for our speaker series, and that is How High is My Mountain? We're going to be talking with 3 individuals that have walked their life journey into finding their spiritual, safe place. And so join us. We're going to have Reverend Chris Brown, Reverend Joyce C. Brown, and then we also have an amazing woman, Virginia Beck, who comes from the Jewish tradition. And so join us as we talk about How High is My Mountain. They're going to share their stories, and then we're going to have a little discussion afterwards. So join us.
And there's a fee, a donation.
Yes, a donation, recommended donation of $15. If you can give anything, that would be great for UCM. So, thank you.
Great, thank you so much.
Yes.
And as always, we're so glad to have you here. I don't know where Corky parked our car, but she parked it somewhere, so you had a chance to park right in the driveway. So that's
I so appreciate it because I came in late and I said,
but somebody took my space. Yeah, that's one of the difficulties with having church at a mobile home park is a lot of people sleep late on Sunday and they don't move their cars and various things. So, but we're glad you're here and with Laura also. And I would like to take this moment to do a blessing for one of our members who passed, and that's the Reverend Brenda Stern.
Yeah.
Brenda had been having a very difficult time over the last few years with feeling like she lost her way, and also she had dementia. She also had a lot of major health problems. And so, interestingly, I could feel her leaving, and I got a call from her daughter. And Chantel said her mother had just passed. And I tuned in, and I heard, and Brenda had a distinct voice. I heard this distinct voice say, "There better be motorcycles in heaven."
Yay!
And for those of you,
And we know that's true.
for those of you who know Brenda, that's probably the first thing she was going to ask Spirit was, "Where's the motorcycles?"
Absolutely.
So, I always love it when Spirit gives me something that's a fun reminder of who the person was when I knew of them here on the planet Earth. And because I think we take a lot of that personality when we go.
Yeah, when we were in Greece, she found a person who had a motorcycle, and well, she was looking for a T-shirt that said Harley Davidson, and so she went into this T-shirt shop, and the guy had a Harley Davidson shirt on, and she goes, "That's what I'm looking for," and he took it off and gave it to her, and then asked her out on a date.
On a motorcycle.
And so he took her home to meet his mom. Well, I think
On
they
the
did.
motorcycle.
On the motorcycle.
So here we were. How many of us were there?
54.
And her roommate was Joanne Merkley. And so she, you know, we were like, "Ooh, she's going to go on a date. She's going on a date." And so here we are at the top of this, you know, the
Veranda. Yeah.
veranda, right? And so it's like the story up, and we're peering over, and the moon was bright, and the ocean was beautiful, and it was just awesome. And so here, brrr, you know, he pulls up, and she gets on, and we're all, "Bye, see you soon."
Predominantly females waving goodbye to her.
Have fun. You know, storming the castle. You know.
So you never know what life's going to give you, and we know that that was one of the highlights in Brenda's life, and we just wanted to share that with you.
Yeah.
Okay. So I'd like you all to take a nice deep breath and close your eyes. Today we're going to talk about freedom to be you. So right now, let go of all your worries and thoughts about your parents, your children, your grandchildren, politics, your job, your health. Just get into that essence of you. And I always find when I close my eyes and put my feet flat on the floor, that it gets me grounded, not only with earth, but closing my eyes seems to get my spirit a little bit more grounded. And then open up your crown chakra. And just feel the energy of Creator as it flows in. You are the most beautiful people on the planet for you. You wouldn't have chosen this incarnation if you didn't want to shine. So see your body as if you're a stranger looking across a room at you. See yourself, and then let yourself shine. And what I mean is bring up energy from the earth and feel it as it moves up through all of your chakras. Feel that energy rising through your body, all the way up to your crown chakra, and then your energy moving up to spirit. Feel that as it throbs through you, as it's energized through you. It's you alone, pulling up the energy from the earth and going all the way up to spirit. And as you feel this wonderful energy flowing through you, know that you have connected Mother Earth with Father Sky, as they talk about in all the old Celtic stories, all of the pagan beliefs. Let's bring that in and add it to your belief, whether you are Christian, Islam, Jewish, Buddhist, whatever your belief is. Let's just incorporate it into that feeling of energy from Mother Earth to Father Sky. And now let's vibrate it. Just feel it flowing through you, and feel it flowing through you in waves of exaltation and energy and love for you. This is all about you, and how wonderful it is to have you on the planet at this time. And there you go, Janet.
We are awakening. So dance on the edge bring it home, bring it home, bring it home, bring it home to your soul. Ooh. We are one with the earth. We are one with the heavens. We are one with ourselves. Let it rise like the ocean waves, and the birds that fly up in the sky, and we are dancing on the edge of time. We are dancing on the dream of our lives, and all our hearts are open to the world, and we bring it home, we bring it to all that we are. Dancing on the edge of our lives, we sing. Dancing on the edge of our soul, our freedom rings. Let us hold this moment. Let us be in our lives. Let us know we are one, and we realize the magic of all we are when we're free, when we have the freedom just to be, just to be. We are free.
Wow, thank you so very much, Janet. And Janet is going to be leading service next Sunday. She's going to be leading service. And then afterwards, what do you have? Karaoke
Yay!
at the 4th Street Bowling Alley.
Fourth Street Bowl.
And it was so much fun last month. Wasn't that great?
It was
Janet
fantastic.
promised she's going to get up and sing a couple of songs at karaoke. And you don't have to have a great voice.
Not at all.
If you can talk, you can sing. You know? So just think of that. I have people kind of shaking their head. I don't think so. Try it. It feels good. You just get up there because you're in front of all your friends. You're in front of your congregation. They all love you, you know? If you sound like a bullfrog, they love you. You're the best bullfrog they know. So, I mean, don't worry.
Jeremiah was.
Jeremiah was a bullfrog. Does he come to our church? I don't think so.
Invited. He's welcome.
He's been invited.
He
So,
does now.
yeah.
Does
So,
now.
does anybody have an announcement of something that's coming up?
And I would just like to say, I would love your help next week. So anyone that wants to come and join me,
Uh-huh.
We'll be meeting
It's
right
here at,
we're gonna be
in the
right here.
house.
Ed is going to take care of us. And so I would love for your help and support. So come
Sounds
next
great.
week.
Yeah.
Because I cannot fill Dottie's shoes.
That's because they're a size 11.
Oh, so Eileen has here that she's going to have a Qigong workshop on 10/12. When's that? What is today? Today's the 8th or something?
Today's
So
the
it's
6th.
So it's like in like 6 more days.
Mhm.
What, Friday? Is that Friday then?
Sounds like it would be Friday.
Yeah, so,
How do they get more
how
information?
do they get more information? Speak. you want to unmute yourself and give us the 411 on your class? Or send me the information and I'll put it in the CCL Insights. Which reminds me, Joan, I'm sorry, I forgot to put your article in. I'll put it in next week, okay?
Yes, we were mentioning yesterday was a little bit hectic. We had a lot of things going on.
Yeah,
And gorgeous
CCL
men
Insights.
in and out of the house. Hey, that can't be all
Well,
bad.
and you've got to pay attention to that. Anyway, so it was, I don't know, I was kind of, I don't know what happened this week, just got away from me, so there's, I'm trying to get everything out earlier. Well, I have to, I guess, won't I?
Yeah, because we're going to be leaving. Okay.
So
thank you so
everyone
much.
for being patient with me. What, Joan?
Dottie, can I talk for just a minute?
I can't hear.
On Thursday, I had the introduction to Money Sense, and a lot of people let me know that they were already committed. So I'm doing it again this Thursday, 7 p.m. on Zoom.
Great.
And what I talk about is the 4 lessons that I've created to help you deal with money. We can all be rich. We have to make a decision about being rich. And if you don't care about being rich, but want to be comfortable, that's definitely part of the whole lessons. So there's 4 lessons. This Thursday, again, is introduction and just talking about what we want to learn and what I present. Okay, and I'll be, the link will be in the newsletter.
Yeah, Dottie and I were at the last Thursday. It was well worth it, and it sounds like a dynamite program, and it's I highly recommend it.
Okay.
Beautiful.
Thank you for showing up, Dottie and Corky.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Anybody else have any announcements?
Yeah, Eileen's gonna
send us the information.
Yeah, she sent the links
Okay.
here, so I'll have all that.
Great.
And do we save the chat? Yeah, that way I can get to it.
Yeah,
All right.
okay.
Thank you.
Qigong workshop with me next Saturday.
Wonderful.
Awesome. Thank you. I'll be sure to put that in.
Thank you also very much. I'm talking today about free to be spiritual me. This is a topic I presented and talked around quite a bit. And last week I talked about emerging from the chaos. What happens after you've emerged from the chaos? What happens after you say, okay, I'm not going to let that drown me anymore. I'm not going to let it pull me down, kind of like an undertow. I'm going to get out of the chaos. So now you're standing there. What do? You become yourself. You become that part of you that you've always wanted to be. Over a lot of years, I've gone through being frustrated, upset, angry, depressed. Finally, I thought, that's ridiculous. All the things that other people are doing, why do they have anything to do with me? They don't. As long as it's not the people I truly love that are my family, and they're doing something, and they come to me for some kind of solace. Sometimes they want to know how they can get out of the problem they're in. Sometimes they need money. Well, you all know, you've got family. But that's different. That's that family unit. What I'm talking about is just being you in the outside world. Find out who you are. I'm a freedom fighter. I don't know about you, but I have picketed, I have called, I have written, I have done all sorts of things for the candidate of my choice. And I felt like I was the one that helped him win. I don't know if any of you have ever done that. Get that feeling of, look what happened, because I was me and I stood up. This is the person I am wanting to get elected. You probably have gotten your ballot in the mail. Don't hesitate. You are important. Your individual vote is important. And I fight for the equality of men and women, their religious and spiritual beliefs. I fight for the gay, LGBTQ, everybody who's different, and feels they do not have a voice, I want to become the voice for the voiceless. And so think about that. But that's you individually doing it. If you want to get a crowd, if you want to find a group that you can make a parade with, yay, but be the leader. Each one of us can be a leader. And if you can't be a leader, be a very intelligent follower. Think about that. Some of the problems we have in the world are people blindly following without thinking. So say to yourself, if I can't be a leader, I'm going to be an intelligent follower. And make that something you say every time you get upset by something you're reading. I don't know if any of you have ever been on what they used to call telephone trees, where you would call absolute strangers and say, hi, I'm calling to talk to you. And what I found as I was talking to people all around the place, they were lonely. They did, as long as I wasn't selling something or making them wrong, they were so excited to hear from me. And it was just me. I might have had an agenda, but basically I was selling me to let them know what I was about. And that is one of the greatest freedoms we have. It's not about religious freedom. It's not about political freedom. It's freedom of self. So I'm going to go and talk to some more about that, because I don't want you to feel stuck. I don't want you to feel like, oh, I don't care. It's not my problem. I can't help. If every grain of sand gave up, we wouldn't have a beach. If every star in the sky gave up, we wouldn't have the starry heavens. Think of the things that you know that are caused by individual participation, and be at that individual. I know some of you are shaking your head and saying, I don't count. Yes, you do. I'm counting on you right now to standing up for yourself. If we were in church, physically, I'd have you all stand up at this point. You know, I've made you do that before. But look at the opportunities you have. And you know the greatest thing you have going for you? You have spirit on your side. We're spiritualists. We communicate with spirit. We communicate with beings who've passed on. Like I mentioned with Brenda. I love that. She just wanted to make sure they had motorcycles in heaven. Think of you as a communicator. If every single communicator and communication device shut down, where would we be? We'd be sitting all by ourselves. That's not such a bad thing. Sometimes we spend too much time trying to be fulfilled by other people. Think about that, finding yourself. And, you know, there's something that I think is so great, is be as outrageous as you want. You know, let people know who you are. Shine. Be that star. Find a way to shine. I was mentioning to Ed earlier this morning that one of the things that happened to me is I was working for a law firm in Beverly Hills, and we represented a guy by the name of Al Lapin. And he had developed a thing called Lapinol that made you have luxurious hair, long hair, and he was guaranteed there would be no more baldness in the world with this product. And so he came in to talk to the attorney about the contracts he was getting. And he said, you know, I've got this model. She's gorgeous. She's got this beautiful hair. I'm just looking for somebody who doesn't have much hair. Do you know anyone? And my attorney's name was George Zucker. And George looked at me and he said, how about Doti? And this guy said, hey, Doti, would you like to be a model? I said, sure. So down I went. I just jumped in. I didn't say, what am I going to model? What am I going to do? What? And I went down to Hollywood Boulevard. They had the studio, all the lights, everything else. I got had to take my wig off. I was wearing wigs then. And he looked at my head and said, you're perfect. And I wasn't there thinking, oh, what are people going to think about my bald spot? I wasn't there worrying about what were people thinking. I was saying, I'm being a model. Oh, yippee! I just was so excited about the whole thing. And
Awesome.
And so that was, I can honestly say I was a model for a hair product and not say I was the before model. Give gives a little different slant. Well, my friend Al Lappin, who had this product that never went anywhere, also is the one, he and his brother John, that started the International House of Pancakes in Toluca Lake, California. So this man knew he was going to be successful. He just didn't know it was that little restaurant. He gave the grand name of International when it was right there in California. And I'm sure you've all been to an IHOP somewhere. So see, he believed he was going to be successful. And he was going into it. And he made himself millions and millions of dollars. So think about how you can do that. How you can do something so outrageous just because you want to. Because it sounds like fun. And, you know, it's one of those things, the older I get, the more fun I'm having, because I don't care what other people think of me, as long as I believe in me, as long as I trust me. You know, there's so many people that say, I've got to write a book. They tell me I've got to write a book. I say, I'm still busy living life. I don't have time to sit down and write a book. So I have various people who have volunteered to either somehow have me send them bits of my story or to record me or whatever, because I have done a lot of interesting things. Why? Because I like me. Think about that. Because many of us, you know, attribute our shape of our lives to negative things. Remember the things that were negative and how you hold on to them? Let them go. Don't worry about that job you didn't get when you were 19. Let it go. Think of the good job you got when you were 25. Think of don't worry about that energy that you had when you were young. You didn't know any better. You were young, you were trying to please everybody. It takes getting older that you realize the only person you need to please is you. Everybody else is walking their own walk and talking their own talk. So start looking at how you can do that. And let's hear, you know, are any of you proud of who you are? Raise your hand. How many of you are proud of who you are? Okay, come on. We should see some more hands up there. Yay! Isn't it great to say to yourself, I am proud of me.
Or I'd change
Yippee.
it.
What?
Or I would change it.
Or you would change it. And find the things that make you the most proud. And think of when you look back, the things you did that you didn't think were that great. Yes, but they made you who you are today. It's not something where you go, oh, if they knew. No. Have you ever found out that's one of the things you thought was the worst thing you ever did? You tell it to somebody and they just go, uh-huh. And here you've been holding on to this secret, this horrible thing you did. I was talking to somebody once and I said, you know, when I ran away from home, and they said, Dottie, you ran away from home? I ran away from home when I was 16. I said, I was 16 when I ran away from home. We had this great conversation. Now, I had always thought, you're not supposed to talk about that. That would put shame on the family. Any of you raised that way of don't shame the family?
Well, my mother was always, what would the neighbors think? And so,
What would the
I don't
neighbors
know.
think?
I mean, we never were really close to our neighbors, so
Yeah,
I didn't know anything about them.
right?
I don't know what they knew about me, and really I didn't care.
Well, but you've always had a sense of self.
Yep.
Yeah. And so think about that. Where did your self go when you sit and worry about what other people are doing? Your worrying about other people isn't going to change them or help them. Every time you worry about somebody and you think, oh, I wonder what they're doing. Oh, just either pick up the phone and call, get online and communicate, or go to their house and knock on their door. And you know what? They're going to be glad to hear from you or see you. Because you're you. Not because you represent anything but yourself. And that representing yourself is one of the most difficult things some people do. So think about that. How can you represent yourself? I know I was in a negative place when I was working at a job that I just didn't like. This was when I was working at Lockheed, and I was in there putting in orders all day on the computer. And this is when computers were just first coming out where you could do that type of thing. And one day I was grumbling. I was in a department with 22 women and a nasty boss, and he was really nasty. And so I'm sitting there thinking of how miserable I am. Any of you ever get into little pity parties?
Oh,
And
yeah.
I'm, the life is awful. This is a horrible job. I hate it. But I need to work because I need the money, blah, blah, blah. And all of a sudden, this gorgeous black man came walking through our department, and he was whistling. And I said, Joe, you're whistling. He said, I'm happy. I said, why are you happy? And he said, I love my job. And I went, Joe, what do you do? And he said, I'm a buyer. And all day I'm talking to people all around the world. He said, I just love it. I immediately called West Valley College and signed up for a course in procurement. And it took me 13 months, and I got a certification of procurement, and I got a raise. And I went, the next step up was the job of a lifetime. If you can imagine, I was in charge of I want to say directory, but I was in charge of all the people that got the different bids on jobs at Lockheed. I was the one that would send out the requests for bids. And when I looked at it, I realized there weren't any Spanish names, Chinese names. They were all just Midwestern English names. Yeah, Lockheed said they hired everybody. They just didn't let the people know there was a job. So I promptly started changing that. And pretty soon it was amazing how many different companies I found that had a chance to bid on jobs at Lockheed. And my boss said to me, I don't know that you're good for the company. And I was promptly promoted. I went from an hourly job to a salaried job because they thought I was doing too poor a job, really. They didn't like all these women-owned companies that I got a hold of. They'd never had women-owned companies. So what happened? I got to feel myself as I am helping people. But I couldn't have done that if I didn't believe in me. Because I knew the minute they found out what I was doing, I'd probably have to be out of this position. And that happened. But it was one of those things, if Joe hadn't walked by whistling, I wouldn't have found the job that I really loved and went on to Tandem Computers to be a buyer and do major contracts, which was an excellent upgrade for me. Because I was shown by a happy man that you don't have to be miserable at your job. And I took that energy. And many of you have told me that you'd been working at a dreary, dead-end job and how horrible it was. Then change. Now, these days, things are so much different. I talked to a young man I did a reading on, and he has been looking for a job for 6 years. And he says it's almost impossible to find a job that's good enough for him. Do you get it? He feels that he's better than any of the jobs, so he's not going to look at jobs that he really feels he can get. And there again, that's not loving yourself if you don't accept yourself for the qualities you have. So think about that. When you think about yourself, are you looking at what you think people think about you? Or are you really looking at what you feel about you? This gentleman that I'm talking about hadn't taken a good look at himself. And I started asking him questions about what his qualifications were. And the only qualification was he wanted to have a job where he could make $100,000 a year. And nobody was offering him one. So we did a lot of talk about that and planning and looking at what else he could be doing. But think about that. If you want to travel and can't afford it, start getting people together and form a group. That's what I did. Of all the places I've been in the world and all of the experiences we've had, it was because I believed in, I I believed in me and I wanted to go there. So when I wanted to go there, I asked people to come with me. And you know, I've taken people to Hawaii, I've taken people to England, I've stood in Stonehenge and did ceremony with a bunch of people in purple robes. We've gone to talk to Native American spirits in Sedona. We've danced with the Hopi. We swim with dolphins in Hawaii, some of us naked, and meditated in a snowstorm in June on Shasta. And everybody says, well, how did you get the chance to do this? I did it. I believe that this is something that I can do. I had the freedom to visit the spiritual places in the world that I had only dreamed of. You find a way to do the things you dream about. Don't just sit and dream. Think about how to bring them about. And calculate what it takes. I had a woman come in to see me for a reading, and she says, I really want to meet a man. I really want to meet a man. I said, what do you want to do other than meet a man? She said, I want to be a cake decorator. She says, I've been decorating cakes for various occasions. And I said, well, why don't you take a cake decorating class? She said, well, that's not going to get me a man. I said, no, but it might get you a job as a cake decorator. She said, okay. So she walked in, and they had these stools, and she sat down, and this good-looking guy came in and sat next to her. She looked at him and said, what are you doing in a cake decorating class? And he said, oh, my folks own 3 bakeries, and they're worried that the person who does the cake decorating might get sick sometime, and they won't be able to have any of the cakes that they were promised. So they asked me if I'd come take a class. And so now I'm kind of enjoying this and really enjoying it, he said, because you're here. Well, they got married, and I was the godmother to their firstborn. What'd she do? Instead of thinking of where can I meet a man, she said, what can I do for me? And it came along, and it worked, and it was dynamite. So, you know, when you can't think clearly, you tend to act, in a crazy way, very irrationally. You know, you just don't handle your emotions too well, because freedom is being emotionally controlled. When you feel free to be who you are, you can control your emotions. So it's the opposite of self-confidence, self-doubt. This is knowing that I am the best whatever on the world, in the planet, okay? And just go with that walk. Have you ever seen somebody walking down the street and you know they know where they're going because they have that attitude as they're walking?
And they have that song. Walking down.
Corky singing a song?
Yeah.
I'm looking on the list.
No, I'm sure that.
The most important thing I want is greater freedom for each one of you, for your family, for your highest good. Think of the freedoms. Think of the freedom to love who you want. Think of the freedom to live where you want. Think of the freedom to do what you want. Instead of crying about, they won't let me, I can't do that, find a way to do it. You are so gifted. Each one of you is so gifted with having a conversation and a connection with Spirit. Start using that energy for your freedom. I got some quotes that I sent out on the CCL Insights. Freedom is living your life as you want to live it. And that was said by Pope John Paul II. Doesn't that sound like, yeah, that's what I want. Freedom consists not in doing what we like, but having the right to do what we ought. Harry Brown. And freedom means self-control. No more or no less. Freedom means self-control. I want to share another story because I just love it. When we are no longer able to change a situation, we are challenged to change ourselves. And that was by Viktor Frankl.
Yeah.
And Viktor Frankl was in Auschwitz. He was in various camps. And he kept using his desire to be a free man, to change the energy around him. When we are no longer able to change a situation, we are challenged to change ourselves. Viktor Frankl. So think about that, because everything can be taken from us, except our sense of freedom. Even men and women who are in prison talk about the difference between giving up or still having that sense of them being free, their soul being free. One of the people I know and really appreciate is Mike Kornblit and his wife, Joan. And Mike Kornblit's mother was different than most mothers because she had a number on her arm. And she had been in Auschwitz. And Mrs. Kornblit, at the time, was a young woman. And she used to tell him stories. And there's a book out that he wrote called Until We Meet Again, about his mother and father and the things that they went through during the Second World War. But she said one of the greatest losses she had. Now here is a 19-year-old woman in a prison, stark naked. They'd taken all of her clothes, giving her something to wear that she didn't particularly care for. But the one thing she had that they didn't know is she had taken little bits of paper and written down the praising herself. You are strong, you are brave, you are gifted. And she rolled them up and put them in her hair. And she said the saddest day of her whole incarceration was when they shaved her head. Because that's where she had figured she had put all of the positive thoughts she had. And she said it wasn't until she left and she re-met her honey, who was her boyfriend all along, and they had gone to different camps, and she met him again. And that's Until We Meet Again. If you get a chance to get it, you can read it online. And that's written by Mike Kornblit. And that's true. Sometimes we hold on to just the smallest shred of belief in ourselves. Hold on to it. Be free. Be you. And know that nobody can take away your freedom. I want to thank you so very much. If it sounds like I'm yelling at you, that's the way Dottie goes. I'm free to do it. I say thank you all. And you know what? Jan, do you have a song we can sing? Have you found one that
I'm thinking, why don't we do You Are My Sunshine?
I think You Are My Sunshine works really well. Can all of you sing this?
We can all be free to do
You
the
can all
sunshine.
unmute yourself and sing with us.
Yeah. Okay.
You are
My sunshine, my only sunshine. And point at yourself.
Make me
Happy when skies are gray. Yeah.
You'll never know,
dear, how much I love you.
Please don't take my sunshine away.
One more time.
You are my sunshine, my only sunshine. You make me happy when skies are gray. You'll never know, dear, how much I love you. Please don't take my sunshine away. No, please don't take my sunshine away.
Isn't that great? So does anybody want to share? Anyone that wants to can tell us a time when you were so proud of yourself because you knew you'd done something positive. We have anybody on chat? Corky?
Well, now, come on, you guys.
I know there's some
You
time.
can unmute yourself and just speak up. Okay, John, go.
I was 18 when I got married, and 4 years later, my husband and I both graduated from San Diego State College.
Wow.
And that was in 1957, when it was extremely uncommon for women to not to go to college and finish. and especially married women just didn't do that. But I did it in spite of everything. Oh, and it was hard. It was really hard, but we did it.
Anybody else have something that they did show your sense of freedom?
Do we have some chat? Let's see. Eileen, go ahead and say, you wrote something here, but you go ahead and tell us what it is you want to do.
Future dream is creating Qigong retreats to take people to the world chakras and collect our energy there as we do Qigong there.
Yeah!
Yay!
Do it!
And another thing I did that I was really proud of is to pass my board exams.
Waterboard?
Yes.
You did what?
Passed the acupuncture
Oh, yes,
board
of course,
exam.
yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, that is a big...
Whilst my children were still 2 or 3 years old. So.
Wow.
Good for you. Good for you.
Stephen Riddle has his
Fantastic.
hand up. Come on, Stephen, unmute yourself and...
There. I remember the first time I ever went to a gay bar, and that was a long time ago.
Oh, wow.
When in many places USA, it was really, 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 really dangerous just to be a gay man. And I went to this place, and there were these people who were who they were, and they were really, really happy, and they were nice people, not at all like I'd heard about. And not that I'd heard very much, because people just didn't talk about that kind of thing. And it was so, well, it changed my life.
Oh,
Great.
that's
Yeah,
fantastic.
thank you for sharing.
Yes.
Yeah, great. Okay, anybody else that has one of those aha moments they want to share where they felt free?
Well, let's see, swimming in the ocean.
Hey,
we
where's
got a
it?
big
Oh,
tsunami.
our Annie is off doing something this Sunday.
She and Chris Brown are together.
Yeah, she and Chris Brown are together today, and there was when Corky mentioned swimming in the ocean. I had talked to people about when we were in Kauai. No, Kauai.
That's right.
I said, why don't you go swimming in the ocean? A midnight swim is one of the most great things you can do. The moon is shining, the water is beautiful, and you know, the
There's all that.
greatest way to do that is naked. And they all looked at me like, yeah.
And
So
we did
the
that.
first night at midnight, everybody walked over across the street and went into the water in their bathing suit and their towels or whatever. And the next night, they all walked over and they dropped their towel and their bathing suit on the sand and went in the water.
It was
Well,
dark.
by the time we had been there 6 days, they were running across the street naked.
Yay!
Yeah. Well, it wasn't until we checked out of the hotel that they told us that every night at midnight, the cafe at the end of the pier threw all of the tidbits that they had, the garbage, into the ocean and fed the sharks. So the group started calling themselves Dottie's group that swam with the sharks.
Stephen says that he dreamt about swimming with sharks last night.
Really?
Wow.
Yay! Well, that's part of what we're doing.
And Joyce, come on, and Patty and Joyce have their hand up.
Yes,
Yes,
Joyce.
yes.
And it's another one of those lovely days. There's so many things came up as Dottie was giving us a rather interesting and remarkable teaching this morning. And it has a lot to do with my childhood. My mentor was my father. And I would tell anybody that and stand before anyone to hold to that as a truth. And I remember the things that he taught me as a little girl. And he taught me how to get beyond fear. And because I grew up in the southern states where there was always weird and odd things happening because there were so many souls trapped on this plane. And for whatever reason, they always seemed to want me to know they were there. And so it wasn't until I was in around 18, 19, that I was being haunted by this dog, big, beautiful dog that whenever I went a certain way, that dog always showed up. And one day my father had to have known this, because he said to me, well, Joyce C., he always called me Joyce C., he was still alive. He says, I'm going to walk with you to school today. And he was always wanting me to go to Santa Barbara City College, always wanted me to go to school. And so he walked with me. No dog showed up. Every day I went there 5 days a week, that dog showed up. And so I learned something from him around having strength and courage and what I believed. And I always took that walk by asking my daddy's energy to go with me while he was in the body. And there was no dog showing up. So I just want to let you know that there are all kinds of interesting ways to have support and courage. You just have to know how to ask and believe. You see, I believe. You have to ask and believe. If you're asking and going, it can't happen, it will not. But we're talking me and my daddy, and I believed in him greater than anything I can imagine to this very day. So I just wanted to share that because it changed me around what I believed. And I believed that I could go and get a double master's because my daddy wanted me to have it. And so I went and got a double master's at Santa Barbara University. And I did that for him. I didn't do it for me. It later on became part of me. But I did it for him so that he would be proud of me wherever he was as a soul. So we can branch out. We don't have to stay in this negative little block, hurting ourselves every day. We have to expand our belief, open up who we are as conscious beings, and we can do anything. Thank you.
The women in my family that was just a fact. You know, there was never any question about it.
Wow.
Isn't that nice to come from
It's a fact.
family where it's a fact that you can be anything you want to be?
Well, my grandmother had her own business in Oxnard. I mean, and that was a long time ago. That was my grandmother.
Wow.
And she was a single woman with 2 children, and she was a beautician.
I didn't think your grandmother was single very long.
Well, she was married 5 times. Not for long, but often. And then my mother learned from that. You know, she was married 5 times, and the last time she was married for 20 years. So, you know, she had a lot of short. Anyway, but they all died. And the last guy that she married, they were having some kind of trouble, and he came to me and he says, "What did the other guys die of?" No.
Shut up and eat your soup.
Yeah.
Shut up and eat your soup.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, that's amazing.
Okay. Anybody else? Well, I was telling somebody that I wanted to open it up, church, where people can talk. Because we are finding, as we're getting more and more relying on what we're doing on the computer, what we're doing at home, that sometimes we don't feel like we have a voice. And I don't want you ever to feel that way.
We're a community.
We're a community, and we're your
Absolutely.
Sunday community. And you have a voice here. You have a place at the table. So let us know what it is that you're interested in, and we will open it up for you to be able to have that place, to be able to say things. Yes, Janet?
So, Dottie, I just want to thank you because you're leading right into my talk next week.
Yes.
You're talking about claiming that freedom, and I'm talking about claiming all of the inner parts of you
Okay.
to gather strength and protection and wisdom so that you can claim your freedom.
That is
So-
wonderful.
What's wonderful about this, my friends, is I want to invite you to look at, our beingness is an inside and an outside job.
Right,
Like you were talking about working for your candidate, doing social action work.
right.
And then there's also the inside work that we can do on healing the parts of us that have maybe been abandoned or neglected or banished,
Right.
and claiming the energy, claiming the positive energy of that.
Well, remember when you talked about marching with Martin Luther King, and the feeling you had at the time had to be pride. It had to be a
Incredible
sense of
pride.
looking at other people, looking at you, having these two strong black men on each side of you,
Yep.
and you being this little, I can't imagine you being a big white girl because you've been a little one, but in between them. And marching for something you believed in.
Yeah.
I think that's one of the greatest things you can do to be free to be yourself, is to have a position that you believe in. That's why I'm always talking about, don't argue with people who are telling you their belief, because they thought about it. Some people, you might think, well, they don't know what they're talking about. Don't judge people. This is their freedom to be who they are. And just let them enjoy that. And like, you know, Jan's going to be talking to you more about that next Sunday, so I want you please to tune in. I'll be tuning in from Oceanside.
Yay.
So yeah, that has been great.
So Joan said, great story. That was a great story. Joyce C., thank you. And then Sky said, thank you everyone for sharing your inner freedom. And I love you, Donnie, Mama Boon.
Oh, thank you, Sky. That's great. Well, this is a time when I want to say we're going to pass the basket.
Yes.
And this is, for those of you who are watching on, you can go just pass it around. And for those of you that are watching us from the outside,
No praying.
you can send us PayPal is the way that we are doing things right now. And so we'd love to have your donations. I just finished my tax for 2023, and I want to thank you all because I, you know, it's different when you're getting money weekly, but when it's at the end of the year and you look at what people have donated, you'd say, thank you so very much. You folks kept us going when we were in a time when we were, it seemed like just money was pouring out, and now we stopped that flow. So anytime you feel like you got something you'd like to send us, we'd appreciate it very much. One more time, we're helping people who are calling and saying they're financially going through a rough time. If you know someone who's financially going through a real rough time, let us know. And I'm sure there's something we can do or a place we can point them to find a place to sleep, find a place to get food. That's what community's about. We're free to be who we are, but as a human being, we also have a sense that we want to help others. And know that that's one of the reasons we're here, is to help others when they're going through a difficult time.
So free to give, free to receive. We are a circle, you and me. Free to give, free to receive. We are a circle, you and me.
Oh.
We are a circle, you and me.
Oh, I love it. Thank you.
So some of these songs that might sound familiar to you, like the I got a list of songs that were in the public domain, and so and most of them are like songs that you would know because they're old
and they're kind of like kids songs. So like "You Are My Sunshine," I love that. What a great way to start tonight. And,
so
very,
those
very
songs.
good.
So we'll probably be doing that throughout forevermore.
So if you have a song that you would like to sing as our opening song, let us
That's in the
know.
public domain. Be sure and check online.
Yeah,
That's
check
on-
online to make sure it's in public domain so we don't
You
get
wanna get
booted off.
knocked off of Zoom.
Right.
And
Or YouTube.
Janet has a wedding or a funeral to go to right now.
Now I'm going to a wedding.
Now she's going to go do a wedding, and so I said we were going to kind of keep it. So last week we ran over, but this week we're going to end right on time, so you can not leave the bridegroom
Waiting.
standing.
They will not be free to be married.
We have a lot of people who have been taking this month as a time to decide to leave the planet.
Yeah.
And so
Yeah.
bless them and support them as much as you can by letting them know who you are honestly. I'm a person that's here for you. And I want you to know you can count on me, whatever it is you feel you can do. And if you're not a helping person, don't make it up. That's not being free to be you. If you're the type that it scares you that somebody's dying, you don't have to say anything. You can just put them in prayer.